You can have a degree from the best university in the world and still not know how to tell when someone is lying to your face. You can be at the top of your class and still walk into a deal that quietly takes $10,000 out of your pocket. The whole set of skills that actually separates the people who do well in life from the people who don't is missing from every classroom on earth. Today, we're ranking 19 of them from the absolute game changers at the top down to the smaller lifts at the bottom. Stick around till the end, because the number one on this board is something almost nobody learns until their 30s, and most people never learn it at all. Let's get into it. Let's open with the biggest one, knowing when to quit something. We've been taught our whole lives that quitting is for losers. So people stay in jobs that are wrecking them, and relationships that drain them, and projects that stopped making sense 2 years ago. The skill is the opposite of giving up. It's the ability to look at something honestly and see when it's pulling you backward instead of forward, and then have the courage to actually leave it. Most people stay too long because they don't want to lose what they've already put in. They've already given 4 years, so they put in another 6. The wealthy and the genuinely successful quit constantly. They quit small to win big. Learning to feel the difference between this is hard and worth pushing through and this is over and I'm just scared to admit it changes the entire path of your life. Game changer. Straight to the top. Next. Spotting when someone is lying to you. Not the big dramatic lies, the small ones in business meetings and dating and family conversations. Most lies have specific tells. The story keeps shifting in small ways every time it gets told. The person over-explains a question that didn't need an explanation. Their words don't match their face. They get oddly defensive about a detail you didn't even challenge. Learning to notice these is partly observation and partly knowing what to look for. Most people miss it because they're not actively looking. Once you start watching for it, you'll catch lies in your daily life that you would have completely missed before. This one skill alone protects your money and your relationships and your time. Major upgrade, A tier. Now to spotting a bad deal before you actually sign it. Not just reading the contract because that's the easy part. The real skill is feeling when something is off. When the salesperson is rushing you. When the terms are weirdly favorable in only one direction. When the deadline feels artificial. When they keep saying things like, this is only available today, or I'm not supposed to do this, but for you. Every single one of those is a red flag. The wealthy are deeply suspicious of urgency in any transaction because they know real deals don't disappear if you take a day to think about them. Learning to slow down and say, let me sleep on it, no matter how good the offer sounds, is one of the most expensive skills to never learn. People who don't have this lose tens of thousands across a lifetime to deals that felt urgent but weren't. Game changer, S tier. Up next, reading what someone isn't saying. The pauses. The thing they brought up 3 times and then dropped. The compliment that was actually a complaint. The I'm fine when they're clearly not. Most communication happens in the gaps between the words, and most people only listen to the words. Learning to hear what's underneath changes every conversation you'll ever have. You catch the moment your partner is upset before they even say anything. You notice when a boss is testing you instead of just asking. You hear what a friend isn't telling you about their job situation. The skill is just to slow down and notice what's there underneath the surface. Most people miss it because they're already preparing their reply. Quietly, one of the most powerful skills there is. Anchoring it in S. Now to recovering fast from public mistakes. Saying the wrong thing in a meeting. Tripping in front of a crowd. Sending the message to the wrong group chat. Most people spiral for days or weeks after a moment like that. They replay it in their head. They imagine everyone is still thinking about it. Meanwhile, everyone else has already moved on. The skill is to acknowledge what happened in real time and move on within minutes, and refuse to give it a second life in your head. The fastest way back is straightforward. Own it briefly, don't over-apologize, keep moving. The world genuinely doesn't care as much as you think it does. People who can do this don't get held back by small mistakes. People who can't carry every one of them with them forever. Major upgrade. A tier. Next, we have de-escalating someone who's angry, not just at work, but anywhere. A roommate, a family member, a customer service person, anyone who's about to lose their temper at you. The skill is to lower your own voice instead of matching theirs, to repeat back what they said before defending yourself, to physically move at a slightly slower pace than they are, to make eye contact without challenging them. People who can de-escalate genuinely avoid most fights in their life entirely. They keep their relationships intact. They keep dangerous situations from getting worse. Most people do the exact opposite and match the energy coming at them, which always escalates the situation further. Almost nobody is taught how to do this, even though you'll need it dozens of times across your life. Major upgrade. A tier. Up next, walking into a room and owning your own space. Not in a loud way, not in a domineering way, in a quiet way that just feels solid. Standing fully upright instead of shrinking. Taking a slow breath before you speak. Not apologizing for being there. Not filling every silence with words. Most people walk into rooms shrinking themselves smaller without even realizing it. They hunch. They rush their words. They take the smaller chair in the corner. The skill is simply not to do that. It changes how people respond to you within seconds. The same person can walk into the same meeting and be treated completely differently based on this one set of small physical choices. Almost nobody teaches this. Steady boost. B tier. Now to asking the question nobody else is asking. In every meeting and conversation and interview, there's usually one question that everyone is thinking and nobody wants to be the one to ask. Why are we actually doing this? What aren't you telling me? What happens if this doesn't work? The skill is to be the person who says the quiet question out loud, calmly, without aggression. People who can do this get more truth out of every interaction. They make better decisions because they get better information. They get respected even when their question is uncomfortable, because everyone in the room secretly wanted to ask the same thing too. Most people are too scared of looking dumb to ever try. Major upgrade. A tier. Next. Catching yourself in a bad mental spiral before it eats your whole day. The replay loop of something embarrassing. The anxiety spin about something that hasn't even happened yet. The comparison thing where you scroll Instagram and feel worse about your own life every minute. Most people don't notice they're in a spiral until they've been in one for hours or days. The skill is to notice the moment it starts and physically interrupt it. Stand up, walk outside, splash water on your face, make a phone call, anything that breaks the pattern. The goal isn't to never have the thoughts. It's to notice them earlier and stop feeding them. Genuinely life-changing once you can do it. Steady boost. B tier. Up next. Saying no to a good offer when it isn't the right one. This is completely different from saying no to bad offers, which is the easy version. The hard one is when something is genuinely good, but it would pull you off the path you actually wanted to be on. The promotion that comes with a different city you don't want to live in. The relationship that's nice but not really your person. The opportunity that pays well but kills your time. Most people say yes because it's good, and they're scared no better thing is coming. The wealthy and the genuinely happy say no to good offers constantly. They know good is the enemy of best. Until you can say no to good things, you'll keep getting trapped in lives that are fine, but not the one you actually wanted. Foundational game changer. S tier. Next we have knowing when a friendship is one-sided. You're always the one reaching out first. You're always the one remembering things. You drive to them, not the other way around. They show up when they need something and disappear when they don't. Most people excuse this for years because they don't want to admit a friendship they invested in isn't what they thought it was. The skill is to honestly count the energy in versus the energy out over 6 months. If it's lopsided, that's a one-sided friendship. You don't have to confront them. You don't have to make it dramatic. You just stop being the one chasing. Either the friendship rebalances itself, or it quietly fades and you stop bleeding emotional energy into a dead well. Steady boost. B tier. Now to influencing people without being fake. There's a whole industry of influence books that turn you into a salesperson everyone can see coming. The real version is something completely different. Genuinely listen to what someone wants before suggesting what you want. Find the version of your goal that also serves theirs. Be the person who actually shows up and helps before you ever need anything back. People say yes to people they trust, and they trust people who don't seem to be working an angle. Most people try to manipulate. The smarter approach is to be so genuinely useful that people are pulled toward your ideas naturally over time. Slow, but it compounds for life. Major upgrade. A tier. Next. Telling the difference between tired, stressed, sad, and burned out. These all feel similar from the inside, but they need completely different responses. Tired needs sleep. Stress needs to remove something from your plate. Sad needs to be felt and processed, not fixed. Burned out needs a real reset, not just a weekend. Most people treat all four the exact same way, which is to push through them. So tired people keep working themselves more exhausted. Burned out people try to vacation it away when they actually need to change something bigger. Learning to check in and name what you're actually feeling is one of the most useful internal skills there is. Saves you years of doing the wrong fix. Steady boost. B tier. Up next, getting yourself to act when you don't feel like it. Most people wait for motivation to show up before they start something. Motivation is unreliable and shows up whenever it feels like it. The skill is to act first and let the feeling follow. Move your body before you feel like moving it. Open the document before you feel ready to write. Make the phone call before you feel courageous. Almost every productive person operates this way. They've trained themselves to stop waiting for the right mood and just start. The trick is to start small enough that you can't say no to yourself. 5 minutes, 1 page, 1 sentence. Once you're in motion, the feeling catches up about 90% of the time. Major upgrade. A tier. Now we're getting into the lighter ones. Telling fake people from real ones quickly. The over-the-top compliments when they first meet you. The way they talk about other people behind their backs because they'll do the same to you. The mismatch between their words and what they actually do. The way they only show interest when they need something from you. Most people take months or years to figure out someone is fake. The skill is to read it in the first few meetings. Real people are consistent across every situation. Fake people are performing different versions of themselves to different audiences. And if you watch carefully, you can see the seams. Mild edge. C tier. Up next, knowing your strongest skill before someone else has to point it out for you. Most people walk around with no real idea what they're best at. They wait for a manager or partner or teacher to tell them. Years pass. The skill is to look honestly at what other people consistently come to you for. The thing friends ask your advice about. The compliments that keep repeating themselves. The work tasks you somehow finish in half the time everyone else does. That pattern is data about your strongest skill, and most people ignore it because they don't realize what they're looking at. Until you know what your strongest skill is, you can't lean into it. Mild edge. C tier. Next, finding real information online instead of opinions. The internet is mostly opinion dressed up as fact. The skill is to look beyond the first page of Google. Read the original source instead of the article about it. Check who's writing it and what they personally get from saying what they're saying. Look for actual studies and data, not blog posts citing them. Most people Google something and trust the first 3 results, which is exactly how you end up with bad information in your head for years. 20 extra minutes of digging often gets you to the actual answer instead of the answer someone wants you to believe. Mild edge, but a real one. C tier. Now down to the smaller ones. Reading the room before you speak. Every room has a mood when you walk in, and most people just blast their own energy into it without noticing. Quieting yourself for 30 seconds when you enter and just watching is one of the simplest social skills there is. Are people serious? Are they relaxed? Who's tense? Who's bored? Match the room before you try to change it. Walking in loud when everyone is quiet or staying quiet when everyone is engaged makes you instantly misread by everyone there. Small lift, but a real one. D tier. And one last small one. Remembering people's names. Sounds basic. Hardly anybody actually does it well. The trick is to actively say the name back when you meet them. Then use it once during the conversation. Then once again before you leave. 3 uses locks most names into your memory. Most people zone out during the introduction because they're already thinking about themselves and then can't remember the name 3 seconds later. Remembering a name on the second meeting is one of the cheapest, highest impact social moves there is. People feel genuinely seen by it. Small lift, but it compounds across a career into hundreds of relationships you wouldn't have had otherwise. D tier. If you sat through this whole thing and you saw yourself in the gaps on some of these, if you realized you've made it this far in life without learning half of them, that's actually really good news, because most people watching never had any of this name for them either. The fact that you stayed and watched means you're already different from the people who never click on something like this. So if even one of these landed, do me a favor and hit the like, because it's how this finds the next person who needs to hear these named out loud. And if you want to keep finding the skills and patterns nobody around you is naming, subscribe and ride with me. Catch you in the next one.